Good evening, everyone. The time is 6:30 PM and I call our meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance, please. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Chair Jeffrey,
Present.
Board Member Westcott,
Here.
Board Member Strock,
Present.
Board Member Green,
Present in person.
Board Member Padilla, Board Member Lemke, Board Member Shipman.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Our agenda is approved. First action item A is approval of our minutes from July 10th. Any discussion, corrections, or a motion to approve?
Move to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Fine, I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Our minutes are approved. Moving on is Resolution 25-04, selecting a rate study author and approving a rate study to be performed by the same. Mr. Ukert?
Thank you. So we had attempted two previous rate increases, user rate and PIF increases, and were unsuccessful in obtaining the supermajority to do that. And so now this resolution would select a consultant, and it has a scope of work in there that allows, I think what we talked about, allows the consultant to do a bread and butter, meat and potatoes rate study, but allows each community to also use that same consultant to perform additional financial analysis or alternate rate studies. And so I think this accomplishes what we've been talking about and kind of speeding this along so that we could get this analysis done to adjust the rates or make other determinations. So before you tonight is a resolution 2504. Town recommends selecting the previous consultant, Raftellus, because of the existing data that they have and can work with each community to take the inputs, adjust those, and work on any alternative scenarios that Brighton or Lochbuie would wish. And so the cost of the rate study would be paid from the wastewater utility enterprise fund. And then each community would be responsible for any additional consultant costs incurred as a result of its own requests for supplemental analysis, modeling, data extraction beyond the original scope of work. That's it at a high level. Happy to answer any questions.
So I'm a little confused as to the scope of work intended, or what is I see that the scope calls for a wastewater treatment plant expansion, design and construction, but I see references to a number of different sizes and scopes of change, so I'm uncertain what is the scope of work intended in this.
What would the scope would entail what the sewer board has already considered and approved, the mini expansion, and then going to 4 million gallons as kind of just the main scope. Correct.
Which has how long a projected lifespan?
I can look that up. There was a sheet that I had. Kevin, do you remember how long the 4 got us? I'm gonna go back to the. But I mean, that would be up to the consultant and the inputs they receive.
Okay, so the consultant would define the scope of work for their rate study.
Based on what was presented to the sewer board. For their original work, yes.
But for this rate study, you've chosen a single source.
Correct. For professional services, it is.
Okay. I'm also concerned in item 3D that it appears that the data collected is to be shared with the town of Lochbuie, the city of Brighton, or the South BB Draw Metropolitan District. I can't imagine why we would share it with only one of those three and not with all three.
You're suggesting that the or be changed to and? You could make that in a motion.
Well, when and if there's a motion on this, I may recommend amendment. But I'm confused as to why it was written that way.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Westcott?
Since Raftellus did the original rate study that was intended to last us from up through 2027, is this going to save time by having them do an updated rate study as opposed to outsourcing it to someone else who has not got existing data?
Yes, we believe so.
Did anybody else have questions or comments? Mr. Green?
I'm a little frustrated with all the editorialization in the whereases. We really all it needed to say is whereas the Lochbuie Municipal Sewer Board has requested a rate study. I didn't necessarily need to go into all the background of what you perceive as to be the issues of this. So I'm not sure why all that is there. And again, I have similar frustrations with the or, and it seems to me, when we talked about Brighton was going to do their own, and we were talked about where there was going to be all this communication and coordination between them. And I've heard from our city that you haven't even had a phone call to reach out to them. So I don't know how you perceive us to be able to do our own rate study. You're not even communicating or coordinating with them. So, and again, you just listed a whole bunch of stuff that I don't think was relevant to the need for passing a resolution for a rate study.
Any further discussion? Mr. Struck, I know you're online. Anything you'd like to share, sir?
No, I haven't anything to say. I think the resolution was pretty self-sufficient and quite
We can't hear
explanatory.
you.
Can you hear me now?
It's better.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think the resolution was pretty well encompassed everything and was pretty well self-explanatory. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this time, if there's no further discussion, questions, clarifications, I would be willing to entertain a motion.
I move to approve Resolution 2024-09, selecting Raftellus to perform a rate study.
Second,
Just point of order, do you mean resolution 25-04?
Yeah, sorry, I was reading from the packet, but yes. Let me amend that as Chairman Jeffrey stated. I can, sure. I'd also like to move that we amend the resolution so that in Section 3D, it states that the rate study with the town of Lochbuie, the city of Brighton, or the South BB Draw Metropolitan District be amended to say, and the South BB Draw Metropolitan District.
Thank you. Mr. Strock, do you still second that motion?
yes, second,
Thank you. May we have roll call, please? Oh,
An additional thing.
all right, I'm sorry. We have an additional amendment recommended.
I would like to remove from the resolution the statement, whereas at some September 26, 2024 meeting, based on the Raftellus rate study, the sewer board was presented with a request for a 3% in both PIF rates and user rate, and this subsequently failed by a 3-to-1 vote. And I would like to remove the next section as well, whereas at its March 27, 2025 meeting, based on the Raftellus rate study, the sewer board was presented with a request for a 3% increase in both PIF rates and user rate, and this request subsequently failed by a 3-to-2 vote. I don't believe either sentence is relevant to the resolution.
I defer to Mr. Rivera, like we had already had a motion on the floor. They're requesting an amendment. Would the original maker of the motion need to be okay with that? Or would we vote on the original motion and if it's defeated? Okay.
That's if she considered it to be a friendly amendment. She could choose to include that. If she doesn't, it justifies its own vote before voting on the original.
I think that that is included for a purpose, and so I am not going to accept that as a friendly amendment.
Okay. So then we do have, I guess some further discussion so that we don't, just so we have further discussion, are you inclined to approve the scope and consultant if this is amended satisfactorily? That's fair. Thank you for that, Mr. Padilla. I appreciate it. So then we do have an amendment with a second before us. We've had a little bit of discussion. Not seeing anybody wishing for further discussion. We will vote on the amendment, which is whether or not we will remove the two whereas phrases that are second and third from the bottom of the page.
Before we do
Yes.
that, can I ask AJ or Mr. Rivera to explain to us what the rationale was for including that in the, is it necessary to resolution, in your opinion?
Okay, so if you look at the 2009 WSA, it has a supermajority requirement. And then you go to these next sections regarding the selection of an engineer that is both approved by Lochbuie and Brighton, and the scope of that engineer's report is approved by Brighton and Lochbuie. And it's important that both Brighton and Lochbuie approve both the person or the outfit that does it, as well as the scope. And why, and the whereases are included to tell the story of how we got to this particular provision within, in the code, or I mean, sorry, in the agreement. So in order to get to this provision whereby Lochbuie and Brighton are at an impasse and have to go to this alternate route, there had to be a failure of a request for a rate study. And so it was an intent to tell the story of how we got here.
Thank you for that clarification. Mr. Lemke?
Here? Oh, I see it. Okay. It appears that if Brighton is prepared to vote in favor of the resolution with the excision of those two paragraphs, they would be superfluous since it would now be a unanimous vote. So I believe with leave of council that you could vote, we could start with a modified amendment that has both proposed amendments, the and the two paragraphs stricken. If that fails, one can have another vote on the resolution with just the and changed. So that would accomplish, I think, with the vote, the first vote would bring things into concurrence where all board members are in concurrence, and I think might be good for municipal relations. So if you agree, sir, I think that might be the route to go.
And if I could add one, if we could also make clear, since we're, that Raf Tellis is the consultant selected.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to vote on approval of the resolution, striking out those two whereas statements regarding September 26th, 2024 and March 27th, 2025, with the amendment in 3D of the word or to the word and.
I'm
And-
sorry, Madam Chair, point
Yes,
of
sir.
order. We still have to vote on the amendment unless the original mover
That is friend.
chooses to
Yep.
accept it.
All right, let's vote on whether we are agreeing to amend resolution 25-04, striking out the two whereas statements for the votes in September and March. Roll call, please.
Board Member Green,
Yes.
Board Member Padilla, Board Member Strock, Board Member Strock,
Yes,
Chair Jeffrey,
Yes.
Board Member Westcott,
Yes.
Board Member Lemke. Oh, sorry.
And the motion carries. Resolution 25-04 has been amended, and those two statements are removed. We now have the resolution before us with the additional amendment in section 3D, changing the word or to and. Any further discussion? And Raf Tellis.
Just one clarification, ma'am.
Go ahead, sir.
That in D, Town of Lochbuie, City of Brighton, or South BB Draw is the first reference. The amendment is to the second reference after the words rate study to make sure that the results are shared with each of the three. That's the and. I'm sorry, the phrase appears in the sentence twice.
Thank you, yes. All right. No, because it's already been moved and seconded. You made the original motion, Larry seconded it. Roll call, please.
Board Member Strock,
yes,
Board Member Westcott,
Yes.
Board Member Green,
On the amended, yes.
Chair Jeffrey,
Yes.
Board Member Padilla,
Thank you, and the motion carries. Next up is our 2024 Town of Lochbuie Annual Audit regarding the wastewater fund. Mrs. Baker.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce Ms. Christine McLeod, and she'd be presenting our audit.
You, Christine, it's good to see you again.
Great to see you as well. Thank you for having me here this evening. I'm just going to step through our required communications to you at the conclusion of our audit. And so we've got just a short presentation. Okay, great. Just a short presentation in regards to our audit process, what we come in and do, and our required communications to you at the end of that process. If I can, if I'm able to scroll forward or not in here, I can just say next if that works. Which one? Up and down. Yeah, I can just say next if that works. Having technical difficulties with the slides. I'll just go ahead and get started. Again, my name's Christine McLeod. I'm an audit partner with Haney and Company. We are the public accounting firm that performed the audit for the year ending December 31st, 2024. You can just go to the next slide, please. Part of what I'm going to speak to you tonight is just an introduction of our engagement team, our procedures, the status of the engagement, just a few report highlights, our required communications as your auditor, whether or not we found any misstatements in the financial statement information that we reviewed, and then just upcoming Governmental Accounting Standards Board pronouncements to make sure that you're aware if there are any of those that are applicable to the town. If you go to the next slide, you'll see our information, my name, email, Diego Martinez. He was the manager on the audit. So if you have any questions and want to reach out to either one of us at any time, feel free to do so if you have any questions about the report. I know you all have a copy of the draft report, and so if there's anything in there that you want to talk about further, or feel like there needs to be any corrections to, please let us know. Just a little background about the audit and the procedures that occur when we come out to perform an audit. We perform a risk-based audit, so we use professional judgment, take a look at the financial information, the transactions that have occurred during the year. We work with Kim closely to make sure that there's anything that happened throughout the year that we need to know about that would affect your financial statements, review policies and procedures. We take a look at your internal controls and walk through those internal controls. We don't test any controls, but we develop an understanding of them in order to be able to perform our procedures. And if we found anything during that process that was a weakness in controls or significant deficiency, we would bring that forward to you. I don't have any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies to report to you this evening. We have completed our field work. And we are wrapping everything up. We will issue a clean or unmodified opinion for all of the opinion units within the town of Lochbuie's financial statements, including the sewer fund on the 2024 financial statements, once the draft is accepted by the board and the representation letter is signed. We conducted our audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards, and you'll notice in our opinion, we states that your financial statements are free from material misstatement, that we were able to gain reasonable but not absolute assurance of that. As far as just some quick highlights, our draft opinion is on pages Roman numeral 1 through 3. Management's discussion and analysis is on 4 through 11. So if you look at that, that'll give you an overview of the year just with all the funds, but you'll be able to see just from management's perspective, some explanation of what you see in the financial statements. That's always probably the best place to start, is to look at the MD&A, as it just gives a high-level overview and really is helpful in understanding the financial statements as you see them presented. The sewer statements appear in the report on pages 8 through 10. So those are probably the ones that you want to focus on, to just make sure that that activity is what you expected out of the fund. The sewer fund ended the year with a strong net position. So the total net position in the sewer fund is 32.3 million. And the change in the net position during the year is about 3.5 million. So revenues are exceeding expenditures, and that fund is healthy and has a healthy net position. As far as other, notes that you might want to pay attention to in there, I don't think there's anything very significant to the sewer fund. There's a capital asset footnote. There wasn't much activity for the sewer fund this year. Long-term liabilities, and then budget to actuals. We want to make sure that when you're looking at the budget to actuals, the appropriated expenditures are not being exceeded by the actuals, and you will not see that all actual expenditures were within appropriation. All right, if we look at the next slide, these are our required communications. They will be received in a management letter from us, but we just like to go ahead and step through them so that you know what's in there. And if you have any questions, I can answer those. We will come before you and let you know if there's any change in accounting policies or their application. In the current year, there were 2 Governmental Accounting Standards Board pronouncements that were implemented. Statement number 100 is in relation to accounting changes and error corrections. And so there are some reporting requirements that have changed just in how that is presented to make that more understandable and relevant and consistent. There was no impact to the town as far as that standard. GASB statement number 100, compensated absences, that establishes a more unified recognition measurement model for all types of compensated absences. It was applied prospectively, and the related disclosures in the financial statements are appropriate, and they're in accordance with the requirements of that new standard. As far as estimates, there are numbers in the financial statements that are based on estimates, and so we're required to let you know what those estimates are. Depreciation is one, so there's an estimate of the useful lives of your fixed assets that calculate your depreciation. So that estimate is noted. Pension numbers are an estimate based on actuarial calculations, and so pension liability and OPEB liability are reliant upon estimates. We did not encounter any disagreements with management about any matters that individually or in the aggregate would be significant to the town's financial information, to the sewer fund's financials, the sewer fund statement of net position, or revenues and expenditures, or our audit procedures. We didn't have any difficulties in performing the audit. Kim was great to work with. I know she's new this year, but she provided us with all the information that we needed and has really worked well with our team in order to get the information to get through the audits successfully. So really, really appreciate her help. As far as the rest of the communications, we're not aware of any consultations that the town had with any other outside accounting consultants. There will be a management representation letter that will be signed prior to the issuance of the financial statements. And you will notice that in our opinion, we do not offer an opinion on the required supplementary information. There's a lot of pension disclosures that are in that supplementary information. We do not offer an opinion on that. Other supplementary information we do review, make sure that all the numbers in that supplementary information ties out to the information in your financial statements. So there is an in relation to opinion offered on that information. As far as uncorrected misstatements, these would be items that we noted as we did our work that we would ask be corrected, but were not material enough to require correction. We did not find any of those misstatements during our work. As far as corrected misstatements, there's a listing of journal entries that were made as a result of our work. The first couple that are in this list are related to pension liability and OPEB liability and the changes in those liabilities. We perform those entries as a non-attest service. So we provide those entries not as part of our audit, but as part of what we consider to be a non-attest service, because we have the information and the knowledge to be able to provide those entries correctly, to correctly state the financial statements. Those can be some pretty difficult calculations, and so we provide that as a service to make sure that that is stated correctly in the financial statements. The next couple that you'll see are related to booking depreciation expense in the proprietary funds, which the sewer fund is one of those funds. Month to month, you're looking at this information from a budgetary basis. And when it comes time to prepare full accrual financial statements, depreciation is added in. And so that's oftentimes happens at the time when the financial statements are being prepared. So no weakness in the internal controls that we noted is in relation to these entries, but just more, help that was provided to be able to get the financial statements from a budgetary basis to a full accrual basis. So we don't have any concerns about any control weaknesses in relation to these entries. As far as upcoming GASB pronouncements, I know everyone's on the edge of their seat because you all want to know what the GASB's been up to. Maybe Kim and I are the only ones that really care about the accounting standards. I can tell. I appreciate it. There are 3 upcoming standards, 102, 103, 104. The first one just requires some disclosure around if you feel like there's going to be any concentrations or constraints that are going to significantly impact the town that either currently impact or will in the future or in the next 12 months, then you would have to disclose that. The GASB just wants to put that that's always been a disclosure, but I think there's just some more guidance around what exactly that means and what needs to be in there. There are some improvements to the financial reporting model. I say they like to keep us on our toes with moving the geography of some of these things around in the financial statements, and that's pretty much all that is there will be items reflected in the financial statements that might be in different place and you're used to seeing them. That would not be effective until 2026. And then as far as the disclosure of certain capital assets, that's going to be in your MD&A where you're disclosing your capital assets, that you're also representing any right to use assets, leased assets would need to be included there. So just some standards to make things more understandable as you read through the financial statements. That's all I have. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to take them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I actually do have a question regarding the operating expenses as you laid out on page 63. Do you have that available?
Mhm.
I'm just looking to make sure that I have read this correctly, that the revenue for the sewer fund for operating, therefore the charge for services was a little over $2.4 million. And the operating expenditures themselves were about 1.1 million with general administration added. It's about 1.6 million. So as I'm reading that, there was about $800,000 more collected than spent for operations.
For operations. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the
Correct.
tap fees and PIFs came in under the expected, which means development was under what was budgeted.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I think that was it. I just wanted to clarify those 2 numbers
Sure.
because I haven't been here where rates have been discussed, but it certainly looks like we're bringing in more money than we are spending in general operations.
Yeah, I mean, that's the net of when you're looking at the financial statements. That is what it is showing you. Yep.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's what I wanted to
As
know.
far as digging into the reasons why, that would be something, so it's just the numbers as they're presented. That's
I am
correct.
just the alternate, so
Yep.
I don't get to dig into all of the details. I just wanted to make sure that as we're looking at the audit numbers
Yep.
and bottom line numbers, we're bringing in nearly twice what we were spending.
Yeah, you had the
guess.
change, your total
Okay.
change in your net position is positive,
Yes.
all told. But yes, your charges for services are covering the
That
operating
net
expense.
position changes both capital and operating, or
Mhm,
PIF
correct.
and operating.
But you're operating, you're right. It's 2.4 versus 1.2.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mhm.
Appreciate it.
That's correct. Yeah. Any other questions?
Else? Great.
All right.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much. Have a wonderful evening.
Yes, please.
I make a motion to accept the 2024 Town of Lochbuie Annual Audit for the Wastewater Fund.
Second,
We have a motion and a second to approve the audit for our wastewater fund. Roll call, please.
Chair Jeffrey,
Yes.
Board Member Struck,
yes.
Board Member Green,
Of course.
Board Member Padilla,
Yes.
Board Member Westcott.
Yes.
Thank you, and our audit is approved. Next on our agenda are any staff and consultant updates this evening. Buddy?
I just wanted to say that we will set up a kickoff meeting for the rate study with the Raftelis crew and the Brighton staff and our staff and get that rolling as quickly as we can.
Thank you very much. Anything from, no? Awesome. Okay. All right, moving on to board member updates. I will start. I just wanted to publicly send well wishes to Mrs. Bowen, who's out for a little bit, and a huge thank you to Ms. Hernandez for stepping in her deputy clerk role. Thank you for all your hard work while Heather's out. Doing a great job. That's all I have. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to share tonight? Go ahead, Mrs. Westcott.
I just want to say that I'm really glad to see that we're moving forward with the rate study, that we were able to reach consensus tonight. I think that's really important. I've been on the sewer board since 2021 when we first were proposed this project. And so I'm glad to see that we're moving forward towards finding solutions.
Thank you. Mr. Strock, anything from you?
Nothing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I just appreciate Mr. Padilla stepping in and reading all this material before the meeting. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate your attention to detail.
Absolutely. Good to meet you and glad that you're here. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 7:07. Have a great night.
Take that, Mom.